Hello, and welcome to the Success Showcase. I'm your host, Eric Lopkin, and Chip Janiszewski from the Happiness and Success GPS. Chip, how you doing?
Doing great, Eric. I'm just back from vacation, so I have to figure out what to do again.
Getting back in the swing of things.
That's it.
Well, yeah, we've talked a lot about the importance of vacations and winding down, so it's good that you got that chance.
Yeah, absolutely. If anybody gets a chance to go to New Mexico, I highly recommend it. It's just beautiful out there.
So today we're going to talk about network marketing, better known as multi-level marketing or MLMs. And Chip, I believe you know a bit about the history of these. So why
Yeah,
don't we start there?
yeah. I mean, basically, network marketing it goes back a long way, like to the 40s and whatever. Basically, it says a little bit of background here. During the Industrial Revolution of the 1800s, a large number of new products were being invented that needed to be sold to consumers. And they were also very complex, and they needed explaining to potential buyers. And obviously that's a great part of network marketing, is understanding what your product is. So it began to hit stride following World War II in the 1940s, and two of the first big ones was the California Vitamin Company, which was renamed Neutralite in 1939, and then the California Perfume Company, which everybody I'm sure has heard the word Avon. And
Yep.
basically in 1959, it really took off when two people who used to work for Neutralite, were Rick DeVos and Jan Van Andel, founded Amway. And Amway has turned into obviously a huge multi-level marketing company. They actually own the Amway Center, which houses the Orlando Magic of the NBA. And they also do a lot of online things and whatever. Very well-respected uh, people. And now there's MLNs for all different kinds of things. And obviously, one of the neat things about it is the way that it's set up. Is that what you are entrusted to do is sell your product to consumers, but you can also recruit other sales representatives who sell product, and those are the two ways that you get paid. You get commission on everything that you sell to the people who are just customers of yours, and then what's called your downline, which are distributors that are also selling the product. You actually get a piece of the action of all that, what they sell, which is going on too. And we've referenced books like Robert Kiyosaki's uh, th- Rich Man,
Rich Dad, Poor Dad.
Poor Dad, and talking about different things that you can do on the side. And these days, we are talking about, the side gigs and that kind of thing. And getting involved in one of these things is very easy to do. It's very inexpensive, and it is potentially very lucrative. And my taste of it was about a dozen years ago. I got involved with a company called Send Out Cards, which is basically a do-it-yourself greeting card company. The company itself is a distribution center based out of Salt Lake City, Utah. And basically, if you walk in to Send Out Cards, you're going to see printing presses, card stock, employees, and gifts. And the way the system works is that they have a website, sendoutcards.com, which you go to, and in there are like 15,000 stock cards. Plus, you have the ability to customize your cards. You can build them from scratch yourself, or just customize the messages. And you plug in your contact manager, and you can put them in groups with birthdays and anniversaries and stuff like that. So you get reminded to send cards. And once you do the work, all you do is pull up a contact, click the send button, and they do all the work out there. And a couple of days later, the card shows up in somebody's mailbox. And what really turned me onto it is the founder of the company, Cody Bateman, basically founded the company because he ignored a prompting to reach out in kindness to his brother. And basically, what happened was he was out in the, he went to school for marketing, and he had a internship going on in New York City, and they wanted to hire him, so they were going to have to move out there, and he had to go back to Salt Lake City to collect all of his belongings. And as he was leaving, he said goodbye to his parents, but his brother was parking cars out in the field, and he just waved goodbye to his brother, although he had a strong prompting to give him a hug goodbye, because he wasn't going to see him for a while. And he gets back to New York and gets a phone call about 2 months later that his brother was killed, electrocuted in an accident working for his father as an electrician. and all he could think about was his ignored prompting to give his brother a hug. And that's something that lived with him. And he said that he was going to build something that was based upon acting upon a prompting so that he would never ignore a prompting again and give somebody else a tool to act upon their promptings. And that's where send out cards eventually came from. And what really turned me on about it is basically what cards are all about is just unsolicited gratitude. And we talk about, being unconditional givers a lot, but think about when you receive a card in the mail just out of the blue from somebody just saying, I appreciate you, happy birthday, or this or that, or congratulations. And this is such an easy way to do it. Whereas before, the value added with this is if you wanted to send out a card before, you would have to go to the store, pay about $5, $6 for the card. The cards and send out cards only cost about up to $2. And then what you have to do is you have to remember to send it, you have to mail it, and all this other kind of stuff. And what this does is you just spend a couple minutes on the computer and it's a done deal. So being a gratitude person myself, I really, really latched onto this. And when I found out about the system, I just said, I love this system. And then I found out, hey, it's an MLM, it's a network marketing company. I said, wow, sign me up because this is something that I love to do, spreading the words. And when I was working the company well about 10 years ago, I did have a downline of around 200 people. And even though I haven't worked it that much the last couple of years, I'm still getting cash in the bank a couple of times a month due to my efforts back then. So it does pay off over and over again. And it's a really, really wonderful setup. But as you mentioned, it does get a bad rap in a lot of areas because some people talk about things called pyramid schemes where people just sign you up to get your money and then eventually you're going to get a share of what's going down. And this is proved to be illegal because the bottom line is the more people you recruit, the less likely people are to profit in the downlines. And a lot of these things have been ruled illegal and people have gotten in big trouble for doing these. Whereas the MLM model is just basically getting customers and distributors to sell products to customers, not investments. So
Right,
I'm
and
sure
that's
a
that's
lot.
that's something that we can't stress enough is that the difference between the network marketing model and a pyramid scheme is the product being sold. The purpose of the network marketing model is to sell product. What separates it from the pyramid schemes?
Yeah, absolutely. And the bottom line is, there are all kinds of regulations out there now to for network marketing companies that they have to be, in compliance with in order to operate. So, some of the other ones, the more famous ones that you've heard about out there, besides Avon, are things like Mary Kay, Tupperware. There's newer ones like DoTerra, and there's a whole lot of other things, Melaleuca, and there's a lot of different other types of things that you can sell too. So if you go online, you can research all these things. But it's really, really important, that you do your research up front and ask yourself some questions. But it can be a very, very inexpensive way to get into a business and work it. And so it's I'm sure that you've heard of some lesser experiences from a lot of people, and a lot of people have a misconception about pyramid schemes. And if you are getting into network marketing and the first time you talk to somebody, the person you're talking to is liable to say to you, is this a pyramid scheme?
Right. Yeah, you do have to be careful if you're interested in getting involved with a network marketing company. You do have to do your research because aside from the network marketing model itself, there are unscrupulous companies using the model, and you really need to pay attention. Um, there was one company I came across a number of years ago that somebody was working for. I don't remember the name of it, but they were selling these pills, and their whole pitch was it was based on stem cells. Well, stem cells don't work in pills. That's not how stem cells operate. So their products were frauds, and they decided to use the network marketing model because they couldn't get these into any stores, but they could find people to sell them through this model. So you have to be very careful and pay attention not just to what the company is selling, but how it's selling it. because a lot of these companies, even very reputable ones, tend to use sales pitches that are either don't hold up. And an example rather hit me just a few days ago. The company Arbonne, which sells vitamin supplements and makeup, posted on Instagram their growth rate, and they had it compared to Amazon and Google, and they have a higher growth rate than Amazon and Google. Well, technically, that's true. But when you look into the figures, the of a much larger, they're a much smaller company. When you go from 1 million to 2 million in sales, that's 100% growth rate. When you're at the $1 billion level, it's a lot 100%. So they're using these statistics that aren't going to help you in sales, and they're really not above board. So you have to be very careful when you're researching these companies.
Yeah, and absolutely. What I'll get into the do's and the don'ts as far as network marketing, but that's one of the things that you can't do is oversell, misrepresent, and that kind of thing. But one of the things about network marketing is there are three types of network marketing, and the first one is direct marketing, which is basically just product sales without recruiting distributors. The newest one, which is out there thanks to the internet, is the affiliate marketing. And this is being an affiliate with Amazon and these other websites where you can actually, just by putting them on your website and so on and so forth, and putting down a claimer there that you are, registered to do this and that kind of thing, is a great way to get sales that way too. And that is a form of network marketing, is to be an affiliate program. And then the multi levels, what we're just talking about, is where you actually sell product, but also recruit distributors for your downline to sell the product also. Um, so there's an article that I read that has 6 questions that you should ask before joining an organization. First of all, before that, think about things that you love to do, just like we've talked about before. I mean, if there's different things that you really like doing, you can look up online and see if there are companies that do that kind of stuff. And this is an easy way to try out doing that. But the 6 questions that this article recommends asking before you join an organization is: number one, how old's the company? What kind of a track record do they have? What product and services do they offer, obviously? And is it something that you yourself find valuable? Number three is how fair and generous is the pay distribution? In other words, what's their comp schedule? And most of the time, you can go to their websites and look that up. Number four is what's the integrity of the company? And you can research that online just using Google and asking questions. Number five is, does the company have good momentum and timing? In other words, what's their track record for growth? And then what support or training is offered by the company. One of the neat things these days, and that I've always had with Send Out Cards, is a great back office where I can always look up my downline, my commissions. They have training portals as far as tutorials in there that I can show to people. And it's, that kind of thing is really, really important. Um, the other thing too is most people get into it, obviously, because it is based upon relationships through another person. And the closer you are to that person that is getting you in, the better off you're going to be, because mentoring people, being mentored yourself when you're getting involved in the business, is so, so important. And then if you have a downline system, you're going to want to be mentoring the people who are in your downline too, through a little bit of training. We used to have events for Send Out Cards where we would bring people in who were interested in the business, but also for training purposes that were just brief. So that kind of thing is really, really important. It's a support mechanism, and it's really all based upon relationships. So it's really, really important to do your due diligence before you get involved with that. So those are just some
A-
questions that you can ask.
And when you're doing your due diligence, I highly recommend watching some people who are already involved, because that gives you an idea of what they're being encouraged to do. I've been at networking events with loads of different network marketing companies. The really good ones get up, they tell you the company they're with, whatever network marketing company that is, and they talk about the product.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, there are a lot of people out there who, when they do this, they get up and they'll tell you, well, I'm a coach and I will coach you on how to get residual income. It's like, that's a little less above board than telling people who you are. And it gets worse when it goes online because when you go on LinkedIn, there's something very popular. You'll see the job title of consultant at self employed. And when you connect to these people or they connect with you, you find out it's a multi level marketing company and they're trying to sell you. Well, I've written articles about this. If you cannot proudly say who you are working for, you're in the wrong business. And that doesn't just go for network marketing companies, that's any company. So you really want to see how people are behaving in the companies.
Yeah, and that's one of the biggest things. A lot of people get into network marketing just to make the money. And these are the types of people that you see right through who are they're a little bit vague about that. And you know, all they're trying to do is get people in their business. And they're not really that much into what the products are all about and the value added and so on. And these are the people that you see bouncing back and forth from opportunity to opportunity that don't really do that well. You mentioned that the product is so important, and I always started with the value added. And one of the nice things about send out cards and your good MLM companies is that they train you how to do this. They train you about the questions to ask and how to present yourself and so on and so forth. And I used to have on my card for send out cards client retention specialist. And one of the big things about networking is to get people to ask you a question as far as how do you do that? And I said, okay, do you know that even if you know somebody very, very well, if you don't pay attention to them, 90% of the time you're going to lose them as a customer because other people are going to pay attention to them and take you away. The biggest reason that people lose clients is because of perceived indifference. And I told them send out cards is a method where you could actually just set up as campaign quarterly to send out an appreciation card to all of your customers that goes out like clockwork work just by putting in a half an hour of work today. And all of a sudden you have a client retention system. And again, 75% of the people that you lose is due to perceived indifference. So these are really, really great buzzwords, and your uplines and the companies themselves by identifying what their value added are is and what they really really do. It's important. Obviously perceived indifference is one of the things in client retention for customers, but just being able to reach out to somebody in kindness because you're thinking about it and having it being a done deal within a few minutes is just so powerful. And the bottom line is, it's just so cool having people walk up to me maybe months after saying, thanks for the card when I had totally forgotten that I sent it to them. It's all about unconditional giving, but it's just such a great system. And other MLMs have fantastic value addeds too. And that's the reason you do things. And you're going to do well by flaunting that and working because of that, because you're doing something that you like to do and what you're meant to do.
Right. Something you need to ask yourself before getting involved in a network marketing company is, if it weren't a network marketing company, if it was a different opportunity with the same product and the same value add, would you be interested? It's no different than a side hustle or a new career. You have to find the one that fits your beliefs and what you do. You know, if you really believe in the product, you're going to be able to sell it so much easier than if you're going into an MLM in someone's downline going, oh, yeah, that's pretty good. I could get a couple extra bucks.
Yep. It never works out that way. So, but some of the big time advantages of this, and there were 10 things that were listed here, but it's a very small amount of risk. You're just going to put in probably a couple $100 to get the business going, as opposed to starting a business yourself. Number two, there's a huge demand for quality products, and every business needs repeat customers, and that's what multi-level marketing is built upon: is selling good products that people buy over and over again. Obviously, the residual income is great just by getting customers there and people in your downline who are selling products for you. You're going to be getting paid for their efforts too, and that's where the multi-level comes in. The income potential, the bottom line is, whereas when you have a job, hopefully you're going to get a raise every year and so on and so forth, but it's not going to be enough moving ahead. There's no income limit in multi-level marketers who do well. There are great success stories about people who are making lots and lots of money in multi-level marketing. Um, the next one, no employees. Without employees, you don't have a whole lot of headaches. You can start your business from home and work there. Another one is no inventory. These companies now, they have the inventory and they just drop ship from their place, so you don't have to stock things like you used to with Amway when you bought the starter kit 20 or 30 years ago. You'd have to stock a couple $1,000s worth of stuff in your garage and turn that stuff over. That's all gone now because you're doing everything online. Therefore, your operating costs are a whole lot lower. It's a great business for leverage because obviously you're leveraging other people, you're leveraging businesses that are buying your products who are referring you to other people. And it's a very, very portable business. Really, all you need is internet access. I mean, I've sent cards from vacations in Europe and the Caribbean and so on and so forth, and been able to communicate with people. And obviously, the freedom that you can get from doing this, doing something that you love at your own pace whenever you want to do it, is really, really fantastic. So there's a whole lot of upsides to this. And but again, it starts with something that you love to do. And the bottom line is, you asked the question about the products and would I be buying greeting cards from Send Out Cards if I wasn't a distributor? I certainly would, because it's just a great way to do it. Very, very easy and inexpensive, and keeps me on top of things from a gratitude standpoint.
Going back to one of those advantages that you mentioned, the drop shipping. If you're interested in getting involved in a network marketing company, make sure that they do this, because there are some companies that have not gotten that set up yet and they still require you to keep inventory. So make sure that when you're talking to the company reps, they handle all the shipping, they handle all the storage, because otherwise you're going to end up with a closet, a room, a garage full of merchandise that you're going to have to sell. So make sure that the company is up to date on that.
Yeah, and that's all part of your due diligence. I mean, you should be able to go right to their website and see whether they are or they're not. And again,
Yes.
part of your due diligence is just asking around, seeing if people have heard that. If you are doing a lot of networking and so on and so forth, ask some of your friends that you network with if they'd ever heard of this company and so on. I mean, some MLMs that are starting up are probably very legit, are going to be doing very, very well in a short period of time, but others aren't. So it's so important to do that due diligence up front.
Right. And something else to look into, especially now, is the technology that they're using. With technology changing so quickly, some of the network marketing companies have been really good at staying up to date and making it easier and easier for you to use their systems, for you to take advantage of technologies, to sell through social media, things like that. There are others that have sort of fallen by the wayside in terms of technology. Unfortunately, one of the ones that has had these technology problems is actually a product that I grew up with and I'm a big fan of, Tupperware. You need to make sure that when you're getting involved, it's going to be as easy as possible for you, and you're not going to have a very steep learning curve, or again, finding yourself behind the times. Realistically, when was the last time you heard of somebody having a Tupperware party? The company is still out there, but they've been struggling for years now.
Yeah, and it's obviously one of the nice things about Send Cards, because it is a system that you use on the internet. They have wonderful training tutorials on there for you yourself, but also to show your customers and so on and so forth. Where basically it has a list of all the questions there, and if you click on the question, there's a video that shows you how to use that feature of the system. So it's really, really fantastic for your clients. And then if you are doing the business as a distributor, um, it has all the how to's as far as this is how you do a presentation, this is how you do this, and this is how you do that. So, really, the support system is very, very important for your clients who are just customers, but also for people who are in your downline to reference, so that Basically, what you're going to do is you're going to keep in touch with people and have people use these things first, and then keep in touch with them to see if you can help them out if they have any questions above and beyond that. So, I mean, that's one of the big pluses of send out cards is that everything as far as how to use the system is there, which is fantastic.
Right. And again, most of the answers you'll want to find are on the company's websites, but I highly recommend going to networking meetings, finding people who have interacted with the company, finding people who are involved or have had experiences with the companies. Ask one to one. There's nothing better than getting information from somebody who's gone through it and worked with the system.
Oh, absolutely. And most of your majors do have like annual conferences or regional trainings and this and that, whatever, which I've been involved with, a lot. Haven't done a lot of them recently, but those are all out there also. So it's really, really important to, again, it's a mentoring business. You have to be mentored by the person that brought you in or their upline or whatever. It's really, really important to have some support that way. And if you're getting in there, just remember that it is a relationship business and you need to learn it yourself. And if you do plan on getting other people in there, you've got to be ready to really, really learn this and help them out to do it. And the companies themselves should make it easy to do so.
Right. And one of the biggest failings that I've seen from people who get involved in network marketing companies and they can't make it work is that you have to remember that this is a business, the same as any other business. You have to be able to keep your books, you have to be able to deal with your customers. It's not something that you're signing up for and money is going to magically materialize. It's a business like any other, and you have to work it like any other.
Yeah, absolutely. The bottom line is if you don't, a lot of these businesses will actually take care of all that for you as far as making sure that you're going to get your 1099s or whatever. And they'll be like send out cards. They do the sales tax for all the different states that they sell in and that kind of thing too. But you got to make sure that you're covered for that because the bottom line is the IRS isn't going to care if your company does it or they don't do it if you don't do it yourself. So you're still going to be
Right.
so.
Yes, the IRS tends to be unforgiving about these things. So make sure either it's being handled by your back office or you're on top of these things. All right, so we're just about at the end of our time. So, Chip, what's the big takeaway for our listeners?
Big takeaway is that MLMs are fantastic opportunities, and I recommend taking a look at something that you love yourself as far as using as a product or doing as a product. And if you are interested in doing that, there's opportunities out there where you can just make a little bit of investment. And if you're willing to learn and go out and develop relationships and so on and so forth, you can develop a lot of customers. And if you want to get distributors in your downline, there's fantastic opportunity to do that. But I would definitely start with something that you love doing or that you can vouch for yourself. And the opportunity is fantastic with a little bit of cost, but definitely a lot of effort.
Fantastic. I think for me, the big takeaway is that this is a business like any other. So you need to make sure you're going to be happy in this business. You need to do your due diligence and make sure it's a company you want to be involved in. And three, you've got to be proud of what you're doing. It's got to be a product or service that you are happy having other people use. Same as any other business. If you wouldn't start a business with this sort of a product, that network marketing company's probably not for you. You've been listening to the Success Showcase. You can catch us every week at xvadio.com/podcasts. You can also catch us on the Apple Podcasts app, the iTunes Store, Spotify, iHeartRadio app, and wherever you find podcasts. Remember, make this your best week ever and make next week even better. See you then.